Peace, family. It's your man, Mark Black. You know what time it is. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday. Let me turn off this number. I ain't taking no calls just yet. Um, so, first of all, before we even get started, fam, I want to first of all wish you all a happy Saturday. I hope you guys are having a great weekend so far. Some requested that the boy go ahead and take care of that, because so I hope you like the cut, the shave, try to make a brother look good for y'all. Peace to everybody. Let me shout out everybody in the chat. You know the rules, fam. When you show up, knock on the door and let us know you're here so we can shout you out. Shout out, of course, to Miss Denny, the inestimable Miss Denny. I am sixth in the house. Sister Kizzy, love you, sister. Toolbox is in the house. Double C's. The cool man Ted's in the house. And remember, fam, put your name in the chat. You don't have to participate in the conversation. You can watch, you can lurk, but let us know you're here. Taj Marie, I see you. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. Thomas B's in the house. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. All right, fam. So a couple of things before we get started. First of all, I want to thank everybody that participated yesterday in the broadcast. Hey, thank you, fam. I shine up nice. You know what I'm saying? If except for the gray, even light black don't crack. You feel me? I look like I'm about like 29, 30. You feel me? Uh, but to all of you who were here yesterday for the impromptu broadcast, I just want to say thank you to all of you. And there's a couple of reasons why. First of all, fam, yesterday was the biggest broadcast I've ever done on this channel. I had at one point nearly 100 people watching live. Right now, the video's over 600 plus views and climbing. If you haven't shared it, please make sure you do so, because we want to get as many eyes on this thing as possible. Shout out to my man Gorgeous. How you doing? See you. I see you. Sucka-Free Saturday in the house. My colleague, my brother from another mother. Salute to UCRU. I see you, fam. And that was all. That was all, you guys. I want you all to understand something here. I do what I do for you. And when you show your appreciation, when you put eyeballs on this thing, when you share the videos, when you share your coins and your support, I'm sorry, I'm trying not to get choked up. I don't have the words to describe how that makes me feel, how motivated that makes me, how much energy it gives me, how much it drives me to continue to push for you, to advocate for you, to help you to get, the knowledge you need, the information you need, the inspiration you need. And I can't stress it enough. You guys rock. I got the best audience anywhere, bar none. I got the best. I don't have to dumb down anything for you. I don't have to sit here and try to give it to you in tidbits and 15-minute snippets to keep your attention. You family are the reason why I do what I do, and I cannot thank you enough. The second thing I want to mention before we get into this thing real quick is I no longer am asking you guys to donate every broadcast. I do currently have, sorry, Gorgeous, I currently have a Patreon, right? After discussion with people whose opinion I value, because I was kind of against it, I've set up a Patreon. For as little as $1, you can help contribute to Black Outcast Media. I'm asking you to put $5 on it, but I understand my audience. But I would love for you guys to go ahead and click the link there in the description field and consider supporting me on the regular with a little donation through Patreon. It would definitely be appreciated. And you know how I do. I'm looking to do bigger and better things. I've got some goals in mind, and I'll actually do a broadcast where I discuss some of the things that I would like to do moving forward to be able to provide you with more advocacy, more media, more information, so on and so forth, okay? So make sure you consider doing that. Zulu, I see you, by the way. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. Today's broadcast, fam, is going to be discussing the threat that neglect produced. As you know, yesterday, during our celebration, right, we were discussing Professor Eddie Glaude's kind of mention of us on the Joy Ann Reid AM Joy show, where he indicated that we were not bots, that we were people, and made some other comments. You see what I'm saying? You know, basically acknowledging the existence of ADOS as a reality, right? As something that the Democratic, you know, side of the house, as well as the political structure in general, is going to have to come to grips with. However, there was another part to this whole thing that I didn't really go into. I touched on it briefly, right? But I didn't really go into it. So here's what I'm going to do. Right now, I am going to go and try to access the full-on account of the video from yesterday. So bear with me, fam. Talk amongst yourselves in the chat, because I want to make sure I give you all the information. So please make sure you just, you know, cool your motor. And I'm going to grab this info real quick. Let me see if I can do that. Sometimes, fam, I hate YouTube. Sometimes, just sometimes. Here we go. And I'm going to go ahead and see if I can download this thing. I'm not going to play it. I'm going to download it. And then I'm going to play it for you, fam. Let's see. I can't see what's going on in the chat, so I hope y'all in there. Nah, fam, I haven't lost no weight. Well, okay, I did lose a little bit of weight. I was up around like 260-ish, but down to like 250 something. But believe it or not, when you have that beard, you feel me? That beard, rocking that beard, makes you look a little bit bigger, especially in the face. I'm actually not that big a dude. You see what I'm saying? I'm 5'10", like 250. You know, so solid, but, you know, not no huge cat.
So you look like Tech 9.
Yeah, I know. As a matter of fact, it's funny. I actually went to school with Tech 9, right? Yeah, he went to Van Horn High School in KC. And those of you who know a little bit about my background, because I used to gangbang, right? I used to be a blood. Tech 9 was a member of a blood gang in KC, 57th Street, Rogue Dogs. And so I used to hang out a lot in the Rogue Dogs area. By the way, thank you, fam, for your support. I appreciate you. Yeah, Ken, I'm near Seattle. I'm actually about 30 minutes north of Seattle, but since Seattle's the biggest area, you know, the biggest metropolitan city in my area, yeah, I'm in Seattle. I actually came up here in the 90s when I joined the Army. I went to boot camp in Fort Jackson in South Carolina. Then from there went to AIT in Fort Gordon, Signal Corps, Hook, right? And then from Fort Gordon, I was stationed up here at Lewis. And I fell in love with all the green and the mountains and all that stuff. And so this has really been home for me. I have lived for a while, about 8 years back in KC in the late 90s, early 2Gs. But in 2004, I came back here to Washington State, and this is where I've been ever since. By the way, shout out to you, Kenneth. Shout out Brother Albert, and shout out Onyx. Okay, I got the video here, fam. We're going to go to the teaching screen, and I am going to bust up the video here for you right now. Give me just a second. Here we go.
Double C said he became a Patreon supporter.
I'm sorry?
Double C said he became a Patreon supporter.
Hey, thank you, fam. I saw you, and I appreciate you, sis. I knew I could count on you, fam. Shalom to you, Sister August. Welcome to your Sucka-Free Saturday broadcast. Here we go, fam. So what we're about to do right now is I'm about to play the entire piece highlighting that kind of piece with Joy Reid, Eddie, Claude, a few. I think who the hell was that other brother? the other butter biscuit cat. I don't remember his name. But in any way, you'll be able to watch the whole thing. The link to my Patreon, Onyx, and all my links, actually, there's links to reports, books, resources, and all of that are always in the description of every video. Shout out to Vernell, by the way, LA representing in the house. So we're going to go ahead and play that video for you here, fam. Here we go.
Around the country, growing concern over what's beginning to look like a repeat of the disinformation campaigns that helped elect Donald Trump in 2016. Concern that the same kinds of dishonest, divisive, and
can y'all hear the video, by the way,
waged
fam? I
on
want to make
social
sure y'all
media
getting the
against
information.
Hillary
Pop one
Clinton
in
in
the
the
chat. I'll
last
restart the
election.
video here. I just wanted to make sure that the sound was there. So let me know if y'all had no problem with hearing the sound. The sound was good? Okay, we'll go ahead and start her over.
Around the country, growing concern over what's beginning to look like a repeat of the disinformation campaigns that helped elect Donald Trump in 2016. Concern that the same kinds of dishonest, divisive, and race-baiting attacks waged on social media against Hillary Clinton in the last election are now targeting 2020 Democrats.
Yeah, no, I'm not running for office yet.
By Donald Trump's
Fam, let's go
allies.
ahead and check this out real quick.
The issue brought to the forefront most recently when the president's son retweeted one such attack that had shades of the birtherism we heard his father gin up against President Obama. Here's a reminder what Donald Trump retweeted, then deleted amid swift backlash. Quote, Kamala Harris is not an American black. She's half Indian and half Jamaican. I'm so sick of people robbing American blacks like myself of our history. Offensive enough that Junior shared it at all, but the story behind the original tweet and its author, Ali Alexander, takes on an even more sinister tone. New York Times reporting this, quote, for people like Mr. Alexander, an alt-right fringe figure, the entire point of commenting was to go viral and counteract any progress made by a Democrat like Ms. Harris, because his tweet was elevated by valuable surrogates like the president's son. Mr. Alexander has become part of a loose network of accounts weaponized by the Trump campaign as part of its effort to discredit candidates. And there's more. The Times also points out that a suspicious group of Twitter bots, like the ones weaponized by Russia last time, were also spreading that same message about Harris's background, almost word for word, within minutes of each other. Caroline Orr, who's a social media researcher cited by the Times, was among the first to warn that a coordinated attack was breaking out online. She tweeted on debate night, quote, a lot of suspect accounts are pushing the Kamala Harris is not black narrative tonight. It's everywhere, and it has all the signs of being a coordinated artificial operation. We should stress again that coordinated operation was supported, at least briefly, by the president's son. Now, for Joe Biden, it's not just that the Trump campaign is aiding and abetting the online disinformation about him. In at least one case, the Trump campaign is its mastermind. The Times reports that a consultant for Team Trump has created a fake campaign website for Biden that's unflattering, to say the least. And in the last 3 months, that fake website has become the most popular Biden website on the internet. This is not normal. And that is where we start today with some of our favorite reporters and friends. Eddie Glaude, chair of the Department of African American Studies at Princeton University. Karine Jean-Pierre, senior advisor to MoveOn.org. Former chairman of the RNC, Michael Steele, and Joy Reid, host of AM Joy here on MSNBC, and author of the brand new book, The Man Who Sold America, Trump and the Unraveling of the American Story, which we'll get to later in the hour. But Joy, let me start with you. I have always been concerned, and I've said it on this show before, that going back to the Republican primary in 2015, no one, not one of the 16 Republicans who ran against Trump, not Hillary Clinton, ever figured out how to address and combat the asymmetry of running against someone like Donald Trump.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Clinton campaign just presumed that the American voter would sort it out and they could tell things that weren't real from that were real. But you have to remember that if you read the Mueller report, the first half of it describes what essentially amounts to a voter suppression campaign aimed largely at black voters, in which they injected anti-Hillary memes, the super predator, repeating that over and over and over again to make it sound like she almost wrote the crime bill or voted for the crime bill when she was just first lady. The goal was not to get black people to vote for Donald Trump. It was to get them to not vote. It's to voter suppress themselves. So you've seen the same thing aimed at Kamala Harris. And it didn't just start with the debates. This happened in January. The minute she launched, just a slew of online activity accusing her of not being really genuinely African American, attacking her on the basis of her parents' immigrant status and on the basis even of her marriage. That started in January. And when I interviewed Kamala Harris, I asked her if the campaign was ready for an online sort of cyber attack against her. And what worried me a bit was that the campaign seemed to say, or she seemed to say, I think we're ready for it. And she expressed a lot of confidence, which is good. I think you're supposed to express confidence. But what I worry about is that writ large, I'm not sure the Democratic Party understands the scope and the scale of how this is going to work, and that it's going to be on steroids versus the way it was in 2016. I hope they're ready. I hope she's right and that her confidence is warranted. But it's intense and it's going to get worse. And,
you know, in another era, you ran a major political party. And, you know, we're so old that when you did that and I was on the presidential, you know, we were worried about our mailers going to the right home. You know, micro-targeting was our innovation.
Right.
I mean, we now have these concerns. And there's something really backward about the campaign having to worry about this. It should be your government, your president should be protecting the country from an attack, because these are attacks not just on Kamala Harris, this is an attack on the American democracy.
Well, I think that would require an acknowledgement by that government and the head of that government that this is a problem.
Yeah.
And so when you have that level of denial still in play going into the next political cycle, presidential political cycle, campaigns do need to step up their game and become almost independent actors in the space. We're on a new platform, a new frontier here, where it is at least under this administration, signals given to foreign adversaries, hey, come play. Back doors open, come on in any kind of way you can. Just make sure you pick the right side. You know, we don't want you. But so, you know, I think the campaigns need to up their expectation game here of themselves. And not even rely on their respective parties, Democrats or Republicans, to actually get this right.
And I guess the corollary to that is when the Obama administration figured out that the Russians were in our elections, they went to brief Congress, and Mitch McConnell said, no.
Right.
Don't say, shh.
Should have been the first clue and warning in that moment by the administration. We need to go beyond that. We need to step into this space. We don't need to get McConnell's permission to warn the American people that we have a problem here.
Could you ever imagine that you would have had to say that sentence? You shouldn't need McConnell's permission to warn the American public that Russia's coming for us.
Amazing.
Why is Kamala Harris already a target, and why is birtherism one of the first smears?
Because it worked the first time in Donald Trump's mind, right? When he entered the political arena in 2011, he used birtherism, and one of the things that came out of that, which I remember very well because I was on the Obama campaign in 2011, is Obama released his long form birth certificate, which was a win of Donald Trump. And I remember when it happened, I think there was a feeling like this had to happen. We were going into a re-election, and that was a major win. And so he took that and he went into 2015, and it all, we know what happened after that. So in his mind, I think it's like, okay, birtherism 2.0. Now Kamala Harris is clearly what we saw the performance from last week. She is rising, and they're thinking it will work again. And there's a couple of things too. We were talking about how the campaigns need to really step up, and they should not rely on the party. I think that's really true. The other part of this that's really concerning is Donald Trump has raised more than $100 million in a quarter. So he is much more of a functioning campaign. He has an operation, and we know that he's funding, in the Facebook arena. And so that's a concern to me as well. Like, we are going to be outfunded by the other side, and they're going to use it to do harm.
I want to come back to both these with you, but first on what the government's doing. I mean, I think one of the most startling things to have watched over the last 2 years is that the national security officials are often at odds with the public statements of the president on this question of Russia. No one more so than current FBI Director Chris Wray. Watch this.
Malign foreign influence we usually use to describe the fairly aggressive campaign that we saw in 2016 and that's described in the special counsel's report.
No, Russia did not help me get elected. You know who got me elected? I got me elected.
The use of social media, fake news, propaganda, false personas, etc., to spin us up, pit us against each other, sow divisiveness and discord, undermine Americans' faith in democracy.
It's a joke that, there was obviously never any help from the Russians.
That is not just an election cycle threat. it's pretty much a 365 days a year threat, and that has absolutely continued.
You look at, what Russia did, buying some Facebook ads to try to sow dissent and do it, and it's a terrible thing. But I think the investigations and all of the speculation that's happened for the last 2 years has had a much harsher impact on our democracy than a couple of Facebook ads.
The investigation has had a much harsher impact on our democracy than a couple of Facebook. What?
Yeah, I mean, on its face, that's absurd. Let's just concede to that claim, right? And what I think what's at the heart of it is that Donald Trump and his minions don't want to believe that Russia interfered in the election, because they think that to concede that claim is to, in some ways, question the legitimacy of their election. And he's always worried about whether or not he has been legitimately elected president of the United States. And because Donald Trump...
Because he knows he wasn't, right?
And because he's a narcissist. Because he's a narcissist who doesn't really give a damn about the country. He doesn't, and I will say that and take the hit, right? He's willing to leave the country vulnerable. But I think it's really important for us to make some distinctions here. Clint Watts, who's come on MSNBC on a regular basis, has regularly reported that it's not only the Russians. He said what we saw in the election in 2016 was in some ways a kind of weaponization of processes that were evident or is evident throughout the American election system. And what he was saying is not only just simply foreign forces deploying these techniques, but domestic forces deploying these techniques. So not only with $100 million, what can Trump do, right? Now, what can candidates do? If there aren't any, what can operatives do, right? So it's not just simply Oppo research anymore. Something else can happen in the context of our election system. And in the context of the birtherism and what happened to Senator Harris, there are folks out there, the ADOS movement, the American descendants of slaves, who are making hay in all sorts of places across the country and have a presence on the web. They're not bots. They're not Russian folk. They're actually trying to have an impact on the way in which we talk about race in this country. And unless we understand and be able to differentiate these various forces, we're going to lump them all into the same thing and not understand the nature of the dangers that we face in our election system.
I mean, and listen, I guess the toxic brew that seems to be getting mixed up in the kitchen here already is Trump's racism, the complete ambivalence.
Fam, so I'm gonna stop it there. The video is about 17 minutes long, or whatever the case may be, right? But we've saw pretty much most of it, and I wanted to kind of end it on that note, because then it just is variations on the theme. The little Becky comes out and starts talking about the toxic brew of like birtherism and racism and all this stuff. And by the way, fam, I'm gonna share the link to the video here for you, so that you're able to go ahead and view it at your leisure, okay? As always, we here at Black Outcast Media are all about the data, right? So you have the video there for yourself, and you can watch it at your leisure, all right? Now, so we saw the initial story, the initial push, right? August, I'm serious, that face is giving me life every time I see it. I'm just going to come out and say it, right? But yesterday we had our fun. Today we're going to do the work, all right? Now, when they first started talking about this thing, by the way, so that YouTube doesn't pull this video, we played that video for education and criticism purposes only. It's covered under fair use, right? So we are allowed to utilize a portion of that broadcast in order to be able to speak on it intelligibly. And I just wanted to give that disclaimer, right? Because you know how they try to pull mess. All right. So now, disclaimer out of the way. When we first saw the video, right, what we saw was them basically building the narrative about birtherism, right? So they wanted to tie what was happening to Kamala, which they're attempting to king make. Because, family, by the way, this thing kind of goes back further than most of you even consider. All right, let me take you back to 2003 for a second. All right, in 2003, right, we had Shrub in office. It was his first term. We were well into the war on terror, so we were in Afghanistan, Iraq, bombing people all over the damn place, and so on and so forth, okay? So in 2004, of course, the Democrats were planning to run a candidate against Shrub. Y'all remember who that candidate was? No, it was John Kerry.
Oh, yeah, that's
right? Okay. Now, so of course, the Democrats have their Democratic National Convention where they count their primary votes and all that stuff and select the nominee to run under their party for the presidency. They had all their kerfluffle, all the little mess that they do, right? And then at the end of the convention, they always have somebody who is either important to the party or somebody who's historically, strong in the party or something like that, give like the keynote speech. Does anybody remember who the keynote speaker was in 2003 at the Democratic National Convention? That's right. That's right. Chat, who was the keynote speaker at the 2003 Democratic National Convention? You're damn right. It was Snowbama. Now, mind you, Snowbama hadn't even had sniffed a major national office yet. So he had not been elected senator as of yet in 2003. When we met him, he was a community organizer, graduated with honors and all that other stuff from Harvard Law School and the whole 9 yards, okay? But he was a relative nobody. Answer me this. How the hell does a relative nobody get to give the keynote speech at the Democratic National Convention? The answer is simple, fam. Because the DNC king made Obama. They king made him. They basically put him into place so that they could then move him up the food chain, right? So you notice that after Obama gave the keynote address and, with those soaring cadences and all that other stuff that Obama, and he was purdy and all this and that and the third, right? He then rapidly became the junior senator from Illinois. He didn't even serve out his first senatorial term, which is 6 years, before he ran for president and was ultimately elected in 2008. The DNC king made him. Now, let's fast forward. We now have Kamala Harris, Chameleon Harris, who, like Obama, is of mixed ancestry, but just enough black to be comfortable to the rest of America, that has so little morals that she's willing to be everything to everybody. Obama sold out everybody in his run for the presidency. He threw his pastor under the bus. He threw black people under the bus. He didn't give a damn who he had to throw under the bus in order to get elected. And on top of that, Chameleon Harris, a.k.a. Snowbama 2.0, is female. Now think about this. They were able to ride Trump's and company's whole birtherism thing to a second term for Barack Obama. They was able to play that card from like 2010 all the way to the elections in 2012. That whole birther conspiracy thing basically gave Obama a second term. This is damn nearly undeniable. So why wouldn't it make sense for them to tie this current kerfluffle to Kamala Harris, labeling it birtherism 2.0? You all saw the tweet. DJT Jr. said, "Is this true?" Wow. 4 fucking words. And they turned it into a damned birtherism conspiracy. Because in point of fact, what Ali said in his original tweet had nothing to do with where Kamala was born. It's readily acknowledged that Kamala Harris was born in Oakland. West Side, right? She was born in Oakland. She's a U.S. citizen. Nobody nobody has disputed that she is a U.S. citizen, natural born, and has the right to run for president. Right? Because the Constitution lays out the guidelines of who's able to run for president. You have to be a natural born citizen over the age of 35. That's it. So Kamala qualifies under that. What Ali said, though, in the original tweet was that Kamala Harris is of Indian and Jamaican descent, not American black. Ali's, a kind of a conservative cat, right? I don't even think he has any exposure to ADOS, right? To ADOS, right? So he would not have used that term. But everybody knows what the hell Ali's talking about when they say American black. You're talking about foundational black Americans, native black people, ADOS. And she's not ADOS. And Ali's original series of tweets stated that she has no right to use our lineage, to use our history, our story to further her political gains. Ali was not wrong in his original tweet. So even if Donald Trump Jr. was co-signing Ali, which from the tweet you simply can't even tell, that's like, oh, for real? Wow. Right? You could say that just kind of offhand and not even think about it again. But even if he was co-signing the original tweet from Ali, Ali wasn't wrong. Ali wasn't wrong at all. But then on top of that, they took that tweet and they created this birtherism 2.0 narrative, not just in the media. Because if you notice, family, those of you who are not on Twitter, let me share with you what happened, because you missed something that all of us who are on Twitter got to see. All of the presidential candidates, almost all, no, I take that back, not all of them. There was a few who did not co-sign it. But the overwhelming majority of the slate of Democratic candidates all came out with tweets all saying the same thing. The attack on Kamala Harris's blackness and ethnicity is repugnant and repulsive, and we all need to stand together. Yes, all of your favorite candidates, with the exception of Marianne Williamson, I don't think she came out and said anything about it, right? But Tulsi came out toting the party line. Gillibrand came out toting the party line. Robert came out toting the party line. Courtney Booker came out toting the party line. They all turned this one tweet that was true right down the line into something that they could use to make hay as a conspiracy. Now, think about this, fam. They're all supposed to be in competition with Kamala Harris for her vote. Are they not? So why then would nearly the entire Democratic slate of candidates all come out in her defense? Especially when Joe Biden indicated later on that he was caught flat-footed because he thought him and Kamala was cool like that and wasn't expecting the damn attack that she laid on him at the debate. So why in the hell would they see her being this attack dog, right? Attacking Joe Biden, deflecting from the 2 minutes that we was likely to get for any ADOS issues during the damn debate. But yet everybody comes out in her defense. Because, family, they're trying to king-make Kamala Harris. It's as simple as that. All these other candidates, with the exception of the independents like Marianne Williamson and stuff like that, they're all in cahoots. They're all falling in party line with what the DNC wants. And the DNC wants Kamala. They get so much benefit from Kamala, right? Because Kamala, when she goes before our fellow white citizens, can talk about her history of being tough on crime, or being pro-family by trying to enforce educational standards. Because you know how they're going to spin her record, right? We all know how she's going to spin her record. She wasn't in California locking niggas up. She was trying to ensure that children get a good, proper education. She was pressing home personal responsibility so she could appeal somewhat to the damn moderate to conservative white voters out there. But then the non-thinking ADOS and immigrant voters will see in her another dream black president. Wow, we get two of them? So the DNC wins with a Kamala Harris candidacy, with a Kamala Harris presidency. They king made her, which is why the whole slate is running up to her beck and call. Even Joe Biden put on a cape for Kamala Harris. She just attacked you and shat on you on national TV in front of God and country. And you putting on your big blue cape with the big blue B on the back to cape for Kamala Harris. How the heck? Make that make sense. So family, this whole birther 2.0 narrative on its face, prima facie, is bullshit. Let's just keep it a full buck. So listen, you can listen to all the stuff they're going to say on MSNBC and all over the place, fam. It is crap because the original tweet that drove the whole narrative did not lie. Ali is not kicked off of Twitter. You can go on Twitter for yourself. Go right to his timeline and see for yourself who and what he is. He's part ADOS and part Arab. He's a conservative. And he's dedicated himself to ensuring that Kamala does not have an iceberg's chance in hell of sitting in the White House, which is his right as an American citizen. Now, let's get to the part where Professor Claude talked about ADOS, right? Or ADOS, as he called us. He mentions us specifically. Good on him for that. He also puts the lie to the fact that we are not bots. Good on him for that. Now, fam, did you hear what he said, though, afterwards? See, yesterday we was clowning. It was Friday, right? It was ADOS Friday. We was kicking it, right? We was giving shade to Joy Ann Reid ass for getting smoked on her own channel, okay? But today we have to come back to work. We have to come back to reality. The reality is that Professor Claude lumped ADOS in with a whole host of dangers that the Democratic process. He didn't say the Democratic Party. He said the Democratic process. That if we don't understand all of these different things going on and the dangers they present to the process, then we're not going to be prepared for how we have to deal with them. You damn right, gorgeous. I'm always about the build-up, fam. You know this. So make no mistake about it yesterday, fam. Professor Claude, on one hand, was given to ADOS. And on the other hand, setting us up for further reprisals down the road. Because I'm going to share with you what the strategy is. First things first, though, I'm going to try to show you a series of tweets that I snatched from Twitter. Give me just a moment to try to set this up. Y'all have been real patient with me, man, and I really do appreciate it. I'm going to see if I can pull it up. Okay, doesn't look like I can do it. And I apologize for that, fam. At any rate, let's go back here. I'm going to read these tweets off to you, okay? So this is a series of exchanges between Joy Reid, Eddie Glaude, and Malcolm Nance. For those of you who are unfamiliar with Malcolm Nance claims to be an intelligence operative, former CIA guy who's a specialist on cyber attacks and, cyber stuff going on, especially when dealing with the Russians and the whole 9 yards. He's former Navy, and he's constantly on MSNBC, NBC, and so on and so forth. Okay, fam? Now, in the initial kind of exchange, so to speak, right? There was a question, or actually, no, I take that back. There was a tweet that Dr. Glaude, Eddie Glaude, posted, and I'm going to read that tweet to you right now. He said, "I want to make something very clear. I have not and will never support a nativist political position. The best of the Black freedom struggle has always put forward a vision of justice that is expansive and inclusive," end quote. So as you can see here, fam, it wasn't even a day. It wasn't even a day before he got his tail jerked, right? Before they say, "Hey, wait, what you talking about, fam?" Pause. No, you can't be saying, ADOS and all this and that and the third. No. You better go on here and talk about how we need to all work together. Right? He said that our freedom struggle has always put forward a vision of justice that is expansive and inclusive. So according to Professor Glaude, those of us who are saying, no, we need to be taken care of first. We don't have the energy, the resources, the time, the inclination to fight every battle on every front for everybody else. That we need remediation, restoration, and repair. Nope. He will never support that because that's nativist. Now, understand, fam, that nativist is the new slur. Right? First we were bots. Okay. And then when that was shut down and disproven and so on and so forth, right? Then we was nobodies, right? We just ride the coattails of organizations like NCOBRA, was it NCOP or whatever, all these different moribund civil rights and reparations organizations, that are all like Wakanda forever and all this and that, right? So we were coattail riding and jock riding. When that turned out to not be the case, now they're switching gears to aligning us with right-wingers. They're claiming that we're nativists. Now, fam, I will say this. Any position politically that ADOS has, by its very nature, is nativist, because we are the most native of peoples here in the United States, other than the Aboriginal Americans or the people who made up the First Nations tribes and so on and so forth, right? We are America. If we hold a political position that does anything domestically, it is by its very definition nativist. Because native black people is holding that position. So even though nativist has come to have serious negative connotations, right, as being anti-immigrant, as being, isolationist, and so on and so forth, understand something, that nativist in conjunction with ADOS or ADOS people simply means that we are advocating for something domestically. That's just facts. If ADOS people advocate anything domestically, it means by default it is a nativist position. Because we are natives. We actually have a history in this country longer than many of the white folks who try to tell us what we should be thinking, what should we be embracing, and so on and so forth. We are America. My family didn't come over here through Ellis Island. My people been here. So if they're looking at us and they're thinking that assigning us the label of nativist is supposed to dissuade us from advocating for what we need to advocate for, they have got another thing coming. Simply put, family, although they are using it as a slur, we should not take it as a slur. I'm not saying run out and embrace it. It's still a slur. It's still another way of calling us niggas without saying nigga. It's like Gorgeous said, it's a twist on our narrative. It's a slur. I'm not saying run out and say, yep, I'm a nativist. Damn, what you talking about? No. Let's be smart. What's good, Al? Black man, I see you. By the way, fam. Michael, I see you too, fam. Welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. But I'm saying, don't let that term being thrown around throw you for a loop. All nativist means is that you're pro your nation above everybody else. Right? You're not eager to have people come from outside and do things in your nation without taking into consideration what you need, what you want, and so on and so forth. That's what nativism is. Matter of fact, fam, the first nativists in this country had a problem with immigration of white Europeans from Europe. They didn't want Germans and Irish to come here. Now, why is that? Well, because the first nativist parties had gone through a few things in this country related to banking and panics and financial collapses, and they saw that the economy was taking a dump. But yet the borders were open to everybody and their mother just coming in and doing whatever, whenever, and so on and so forth. No. The white folks that was here at the time was like, wait a minute, we're struggling. We just had banks collapse. We just had the economy collapse. And you want to bring in more people? No, take care of us first. Which the last time I checked, I thought that meant citizenship. Go figure. Petty Pendergrass is in the house. My brother Torian, welcome to Sucka-Free Saturday. So right off the bat, fam, this whole idea of attacking us as nativists is a losing proposition. Because in point of fact, the vast majority of Americans are nativists. Sure, we don't have a problem with having a heart and taking in people that need asylum, that are truly in dire need, who come from war zones and so on and so forth. Americans embrace them and open their arms to them all the damn time. But this country has had a history of saying, wait, pause, slow down, cool your motor. Americans aren't straight yet. Why are we letting more folk come in? You want to talk about nativists? What do you think Ellis Island was? Ellis Island was the wall. Think about it, fam. Ellis Island was the wall that Trump was trying to put up. If you wanted to come into America and you wanted to come into it legally, you had to go through the process. You had to go through Ellis Island. They wasn't just letting everybody just walk in through the door. So this whole idea that somehow or another it's like, un-American to desire for yourself and your fellow citizens the best of what citizenship has to offer, as opposed to just making citizenship mean nothing on its face is illogical. And not to mention the fact it's a non sequitur. ADOS is not anti-immigrant. What we are is we're pro-us. They're saying all these things and failing to understand that at the end of the day, we're not saying we don't want people to come here. We're saying that until you take care of us, we can't afford to have them here. Black people have been knowing this for the longest time. Frederick Douglass, one of our greatest and brightest, our esteemed ancestor, was against immigration because he understood that with immigration, this means by default the denigration and the degradation of the ADOS nation. Simply put, we already having to compete with our fellow white citizens who control the political apparatus, who control the economic apparatus and all that. And then on top of that, we have to compete with people who don't even speak the language, who can just come over here and what? No. No sane, rational person embraces that. All of these people who are pro-immigrant or whatever the case may be.
Amen to that. Now pass the plate.
Thank you, Miss Denny. I appreciate you, sister. All those people out there who embrace this open borders, kind of let everybody in policy, open your house. I don't see you driving down the street, picking up homeless people off the street and letting them come live up in your crib. Why is that? They're tired. They're huddled masses yearning to breathe free. Let me continue. So that was Dr. Glaude basically backpedaling, saying, okay, wait. Now, I know ADOS. I know I said ADOS, but I can't ride with no nativist shit, right? So then he starts inquiring more about the position. But before I go into that, let me read to you a tweet that I replied to him. Because believe it or not, fam, I didn't expect what he said to stand for very long, right? I can't speak for you, but I'm very familiar with the tactics of the Butter Biscuit Brigade. Okay? I know when butter biscuits start to rain down like manna from heaven, how quickly these ivory tower academics change up their game. So I just simply told him this. I said, I cannot say that I'm surprised by this. I was grateful that you mentioned ADOS. I also noted that you aligned with the Dems and classified us as one of the many dangers you and your Democratic cohorts face. Your nativist slander aside, I remain grateful and mindful of who you really are, unquote. You see, family, we have to know how to go ahead and take the W. It was definitely a W for him to mention us and to establish clearly that we are a force to be reckoned with in the political structure of this country. But he's doing us no further favors, I promise you. And I can establish that again with the evidence. Here is the coon version of Malcolm and Eddie I'm about to read to you, because Malcolm replies to Dr. Glaude, to Eddie Glaude, and Malcolm says, quote, hashtag ADOS are not all bots. They're trolls. There is significant evidence targeted foreign origin amplification campaigns selectively push their openly stated agenda to suppress black votes and attack only black Dems. Their message is weaponized for Trump, not legit. This was in response to a tweet that Eddie sent that said, we can certainly disagree. This was a tweet he sent to Breaking Brown, right? To Yvette. He said, we can certainly disagree. I wanted to make sure the hashtag ADOS wasn't reduced to bots. So he is definitely not on board Team ADOS. He just wanted to make sure there was some degree of intellectual honesty injected into the conversation. But as you can see, Malcolm is on his regular shit. he can't support and sustain his original message that we're bots, that what you see happening with ADOS is all about bot activity being driven from the Kremlin and Comrade Putin. He couldn't sustain that story. So we went from being bots to trolls. Now, let me interpret the word salad for you, fam, because trust me when I tell you, this Malcolm character thinks that the more $20 words he used, the more authoritatively he sounds. There is significant evidence, none presented, by the way. There was no links in this tweet to any material, any reports, right? So he's claiming, he's asserting that there is significant evidence with no evidence presented.
This is a professor.
Right? Targeted foreign origin amplification campaigns. What he's saying is that there are foreign nationals who are targeting specifically certain special interests within the United States to amplify messages that they believe work toward their ends, toward their agenda. Okay? Now, what did Malcolm say their agenda was? Their agenda is, quote, suppressing black votes and attack only black Dems. So according to Malcolm, of the Malcolm and Eddie pair here, these foreign nationals are amplifying the ADOS message to encourage ADOS citizens to suppress black votes. I don't know how the fuck that's supposed to work. I've got a pretty decent brain computer, fam, but that just does not compute. And only attack black Dems, as if we haven't had smoke for Biden, as if we haven't had smoke for Pocahontas, as if we haven't had smoke for Robert O'Rourke, as if we haven't had smoke for Gillibrand, as if we haven't had... Do I need to continue? Right? He stated that their message is weaponized for Trump, not legit. Okay, so we already know that Malcolm's on board this whole damn idea that, man, these niggas couldn't have come up with this whole reparations thing on their own. No, somebody's got to be putting a battery in their back. By the way, fam, before I continue, just a little gimme. You know who actually could be a greater threat to the United States? I'm not saying they are, so please do not mistake me. But you know who actually could be used by foreign outside influence to affect deleteriously the political and economic structure of the United States that nobody's talking about? Pan-Africanists. And how do I know? Because I was once a Pan-African partisan. If you go on my channel as Mark Black, you will find a broadcast where I spoke openly about the need for our leadership to make feelers out to countries like Russia, like China, and to engage with them, that if they provide us material support, training, and so on and so forth, that we can then act as the fist within. Oh, yes, family. See, as a Pan-African, I would have no particular loyalty to the United States or anywhere else. My loyalty is to Africa, whether homeland, diaspora, or whatever. So if China came to me as a Pan-African influencer with the offer I could not refuse, an offer for material aid, for perhaps a piece of land somewhere, perhaps some influence and some power, and all we had to do as Pan-Africanists is help bring down the great Satan of the United States, the great linchpin of global white supremacy, you tell me if Pan-Africans will turn down that offer. But no one No one is saying that Pan-Africans are a threat to the United States of America, although I just established for you that they clearly can be. No. We, American partisans, waving around the red, white, and blue, standing on our lineage and honoring our heritage and forcing our government to come to terms with us to seal the breach so that regardless of whatever else happens, we can all move forward as Americans together. No, we're the goddamn threat. We're the problem. Right? We're the BIEs. Just a little gimme for you. At any rate, Eddie then replies, quote, I get that, Malcolm. How do we distinguish, or do we need to, between the people doing the amplification and the actual people who hold positions with whom we disagree? Trying to understand, what do we make of domestic actors who leverage social media to affect campaigns, unquote. I just peeped something out about Brother Eddie. Brother Eddie is the master of doublespeak. Our brother loves to use weasel words. See, he wants to have his cake and eat it too, fam. Brother Eddie doesn't want to say that he's just completely anti-ADOS, right? Because he doesn't quite understand as of yet where this whole ADOS thing is going, right? So you want to leave his options open to be able to come out and say later on, right, that I was with y'all. We had some brief disagreements, but I'm rolling now. Right? But he also doesn't want to come out in full-throated support for us either, right? Because right now to him, we're suspect. So what Professor Glaude is doing is he's using weasel words. He's saying things like, how do we distinguish between the people doing the amplification and the actual people who hold positions with whom we disagree? I'll translate that for you. How do we know who's the actual bots and who's these real niggas that we have to worry about? Now, he could have just came out and said something along those lines. But no. He's just trying to make it seem like that this is just all a minor little tiff. Right? That, if we could just come to understand who it is that's putting a battery in these ADOS niggas' backs, right? We can address that without alienating the rest of our voter base. Because remember, Eddie came out in that broadcast and identified himself with the Dems. First and foremost, he is a Dem partisan. And he does not want to do anything that jeopardizes the position of the Democrats. And how do we know that? Because he says later on in this tweet, trying to understand, what do we make of domestic actors who leverage social media to affect campaigns? I wonder, what do we make of domestic actors? Pause. Because I told you that there's an agenda. This ties in directly to the agenda we're going to discuss. What do we make of domestic actors who leverage social media to affect campaigns? Now, understand, family, ADOS is no different than any other American interest group, right? Whether you're LGBTQ, whether you're, cosplayers, whatever. Not saying that I'm equivocating them to us and our struggle and our lineage. No, what I'm saying is that we are a special interest group. We are a self-identified, unique group demanding specific things for our group. Now, we do that in a multitude of ways. We do that personally by getting up in front of politicians' faces. We also do that via advocacy through social media and so on and so forth. You dig? Okay, So we are citizens who have a specific interest, who are looking to pursue a political aim. But that's not what he said, was it? He said domestic actors. Family, that's terms that would be reminiscent of describing someone as domestic terrorist. Domestic actors, right? We're not citizens who are just pursuing political goals and aims and participating in the democratic process. No, we're domestic actors who are leveraging social media to affect people's political campaigns. So we no longer have a right to question a particular candidate's history, their record. No, we're the equivalent of political domestic terrorists who are attempting to leverage social media to destroy candidacies of viable, perfectly good political candidates. This Eddie character is a lousy, cowardly bastard who uses weasel words so that he doesn't come out and say what he really wants to say. Is that anybody who is not with us is against us, a la Shrub. If you're not with us, you're against us. This is Democrat weasel speak of declaring war on people like ADOS. Now, I mentioned to you that we were going to discuss some strategy, but there was one last thing that was brought up. Joy Ann Reid chimed her ass in the exchange. And she said the challenge, as well as their affiliations, Professor Glaude, the connections to PFER and other blood and soil movements are not grassroots. They're anti-diasporal and organized with a consistent call for black people to not vote. There's a reason they're being amplified by bots, unquote. So Joy Ann Reid said that we have ties to right-wing Blut und Bogen, blood and soil, nativist racist groups that are completely anti-diasporan. Yes, easy, don't worry. We're going to talk about blood and soil. Trust me when I tell you. She said essentially that the reason that we're able to be amplified by bots is because we already hold these positions that are essentially un-American. Her words, not mine. She tied us to nativist, blood and soil, anti-immigrant groups. Now, when she's referring to PFER, she's referring to the fact that Sister Yvette sits on the board of PFER. Now, I did my own homework, and I would encourage you to do so. PFER has had connections to people who are white supremacists. Now, let me ask you a very simple, basic question here. Name me a national organization of any note, of any size, that has white people on it that does not have some connection to white supremacists. Go ahead, I'll wait. Name me one. Name me one organization anywhere. National Organization for Women. They got white supremacists. The Democratic National Convention, the DNC, they got plenty of white supremacists. Name me an American organization of any note, of any reach, that if you shook the tree, a white supremacist wouldn't fall out of it somewhere. Right? Easy be easy, the Fraternal Order of Police, full of damn white supremacists. But because Yvette wants to try to influence the conversation to our interests as ADOS, because there is a clear connection between both legal immigration and illegal immigration in deleterious effects to ADOS. You don't believe me? Let's go back to the teacher screen, family, because it's time for me to show the receipts. Can y'all see this, fam? Oh, you know what? That's all right. Let me turn off the speaker. Here. I got it. There we go. All right. Here, fam, is an open letter that was written to George Bush during his presidency and all members of Congress. This was an open letter on immigration. There's a whole bunch of different signatories to it, too, as you can see here. But we're going to go through this letter, okay? This letter basically was talking about the need to not go so hard in the paint on immigrants because immigrants benefit us and so on and so forth. They say here that overall immigration has been a net gain for American citizens, though a modest one in proportion to the size of our $13 trillion economy. So they said, yeah, immigrants may cost us something, but they add back. And so it's kind of been a net gain. Okay? Then they talked about the fact that people said immigrants do not take American jobs. The American economy can create as many jobs as there are workers willing to work so long as labor markets remain free, flexible, and open to all workers on an equal basis. That is bullshit double speak. The American economy can give everybody a job if we are willing to work for wages we can't eat on. Yeah, there's plenty of jobs. No doubt. There are plenty of jobs in America. You can have a job tomorrow if you want. Now, don't expect to be able to have a place to live, food to eat, to be warm when it's cold and cool when it's hot, but you can have work. Because it is a well-known fact that immigration drives down wages. Why in the hell would anybody hire an American to do something that they can pay an immigrant, whether legal or illegal, pennies to do? That's about as anti-capitalist as it gets, is it not? As a matter of fact, they even acknowledge this. Here, I'm going to quote it for you. In recent decades, immigration of low-skilled workers may have lowered the wages of domestic low-skilled workers, but the effect is likely to have been small, with estimates of wage reduction for high school dropouts ranging from 8% to as little as 0%. So they acknowledge that wages for low-skilled workers, who is that group, by the way, who primarily makes up low-skilled workers in America, Ms. Denny? Black folks. ADOS folk. Let us continue. But the effect is likely to have been small. Yeah, easy for your ass to say when your people don't make up the predominant number of low-skilled workers. So you let immigrants come in, they drive down the wages for our people, primarily. But hey, it's just a small effect. Check this out. This is why, right here, this is why they want immigration. While a small percentage of native-born Americans may be harmed by immigration, by the way, native-born Americans, that'd be us, in case you was wondering, vastly more Americans, fuck the native-born, benefit from contributions that immigrants make to our economy, including lower consumer prices. The effect of all immigration on low-skilled workers is very likely positive, as many immigrants bring skills, capital, and entrepreneurship to the American economy. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. It's fucking Orwellian doublespeak. They hire immigrants at lower wages so that they're able to get products out to people where they're not having to charge them prices that they would have to charge them if they were paying Americans to do it. They completely remove low-skilled and new. So low-skilled isn't just necessarily ADOS folk because we don't have no skills, fam. Low-skilled is ADOS people who are trying to break into the job market. You know, our brothers and sisters that first graduate from high school and trying to get their first job, low-skilled worker. But why would they hire Jerome when they might have to pay Jerome $15 an hour when they can hire Maria and pay that bitch $7 an hour? What company would do that? Because this is capitalism, remember? It's about privatizing the gains and socializing the L's. Fam, this letter gets worse. Legitimate concerns about the impact of immigration on the poorest Americans should not be addressed by penalizing even poor immigrants. So who's supposed to hold the L? Right? If we're talking about American citizens, right? Legitimate concerns about the impact of immigration on the poorest Americans. If we're talking about American citizens versus immigrants, whether they're poor or not, and we can clearly establish that most immigrants who come here are not poor. They bring skills and abilities with them from their native countries, and most times are the creme de la creme, the 1% of their nations. So this is a bullshit straw man argument to begin with. But beyond that, the poorest Americans should hold the L for poor immigrants, is what this letter is saying. We should promote policies such as improving our education system and that enable Americans to be more productive with high wage skills. So basically, everybody, the key to fixing immigration, fam, is that every ADOS person needs to learn how to code. Oh, wait, they got H-1B visas to bring in coders from Malaysia, India, Pakistan, and pay them basically dirt wages for the same jobs that they would have to pay us living wages to code for. Family, it is not anti-immigrant for you to say that as a citizen, your citizenship is supposed to mean something. It is supposed to mean benefits for you. If there is no benefit for you being a citizen, then what the hell is the point? Why should you be paying taxes? Why should you be doing anything, right? Why should you honor any of the laws? Like, if being a citizen does not offer you, if membership does not have its fucking privileges, then what the hell is the point? This open letter told you what the immigration strategy is. To use immigrants to drive down wages for Americans to increase competitiveness for American business interests, both domestically and abroad. Period, point blank, the goddamn end. And I'm telling you, both the Republicans as well as the Democrats are on board with that strategy. And that's a fact. That's a fact. Brexit was all about immigration. Britain didn't have a problem with the common market. Britain didn't have a problem with people being able to travel back and forth and go back and forth and so on and so forth. Britain didn't have a problem with that at all. What they had a problem with was Poles and Latvians and other Eastern European immigrants coming into Britain and taking jobs that people who were from Britain couldn't get. Because of the EU open border policy, everybody can work and live everywhere in Europe. That's great. But if they're paying high-ass wages in Britain and they're paying low-ass wages in Portugal, where do you think everybody's going to go to try to get jobs? And the UK twigged. They was like, wait a minute. Everybody's coming here to take jobs. We create jobs in our economy for our people. And we're supposed to be okay with this? Hell no. We want a Brexit. Or a Brexit, sorry. Nursing. Somebody said, AL said they give them all to African women. No, they don't. You know who's primarily taking over nursing? The Filipinos, the Asians. Right? So all these people come to America to make wages that Americans can't even afford to live on. And then on top of that, because those wages are far and away better than the wages that they would be getting in their home countries, they're able to send remittances, which is hundreds of billions of dollars a year of remittances is sent from America to nations all over the globe. There are entire national economies that would collapse without the remittances being sent from citizens that left their country, that live in America, back to their country. There are nations that would not have an economy without the remittances from the people earning money here in the United States. You don't have to take my word for it. The information is out there. That's factual. Just do a study about the amount of remittances that leave the United States every year. Then on top of that, we as ADOS citizens also pay hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars a year in foreign aid. Nigeria gets $800 billion a year from America in foreign aid. And on top of that, we got to take every Nigerian that thinks they better than us to come over here and take whatever jobs they want. So we're paying money for them to be over there, and we're paying them more money to come here. Somebody make this make sense to me. The only way this makes sense, fam, is if you understand what the end game is of immigration. It's to be able to ensure that America is able to compete globally. Because if our wages are high here, we have to charge more for our products wherever they go. And people won't buy those products if the prices is too high. Remember, China is basically a communist dictatorship that has a veneer of capitalism. So if they decide they want to pay X for a certain job, they can just dictate that. You can't do that in America. So, but I'm a nativist. I am a xenophobe because I believe that my country, who I'm a citizen of, should provide for me and mine before anyone else. By the way, fam, they're already starting convict leasing again. Yeah, down in the South, they got prisoners being sold out to work on private farms, harvesting crops and shit. So pretty soon they won't need the migrants for that. They'll just keep arresting a whole bunch of us and making us do it, paying us slave wages. You see, because they won't give those jobs to us as ADOS. They won't come through the hood in Detroit and say, get out into the fresh air, ADOS. Come and put your hands in the soil. $15 an hour, guaranteed work during harvest season. Come on down and help us pull in these crops. Because they might have to charge Becky Ann and Brad 50 cents more at the grocery store for lettuce. Let's just keep it a buck. No, what they'll do is they'll kick out the immigrants because that's going to become a thing the Democrats played themselves, so the immigrants are humped. They're going to kick them out where they can, and they're going to go back to convict leasing and using our people as slave labor. I'm telling you, fam, the rabbit hole is deep. ADOS is our only shot. I mentioned earlier that Joy-Ann Reid tried to tie us to this blood and soil idea, right? But blood and soil isn't even American, right? Blood and soil is not American. Let me show you this real quick. Give me just a second. Remember the term I used where I said Blutenbogen? Blutenbogen is German. It means blood and soil. But they try to say it's associated with the Nazis because it was a phrase that the Nazis used, right? The Nazis was all about Lebensraum, right? Living room, right? The Nazis wanted space for a greater Germany because remember, Germany was the heart of the Austro-Hungarian Empire as well as the Prussian Empire, right? And during World War I, they lost a lot of territory as part of the reparations they had to pay. So one way that Adolf Hitler was able to stir up the masses in Germany was by appealing to the reacquisition, essentially the Reconquista of the greater Germany that had been lost, that had been given away as reparations for their crimes and the loss of the war in World War I. He was able to turn the German people against the Weimar Republic by saying that they were sellouts, that they betrayed Germany. And one of the means he used this was by referring to the concept of blood and soil, that German land belongs to German people. But this is an old thing. Notice the article here says this phrase originates in Germany in reference to the German people, but it predated the Nazis. It started off as a philosophy of the German peasant as an authentic core of German nationalism and arose after Otto von Bismarck's 1871 creation of the modern German nation, when the cultural definition of what it meant to be German in an industrializing society became acute. Blood and soil advocates insisted that the peasantry held the most pure stock of German ethnicity. Therefore, public policy should protect the bloodlines of Germanic stock by keeping it linked to the land rather than pollute it in the cities, unquote. This article also goes to refer to Hitlerian policies like Lebensraum and the eugenics projects that and programs that they participated in during World War II. Now, let me ask you a quick question, ADOS. While there are many of us who understand that our ancestors' bones are buried in this land, that this is our country, we paid the blood price for it. When's the last time any of you heard any ADOS person talking about America belongs only to ADOS people? That we need to stretch out our wings and kick everybody the fuck up out of here? You know, on some real nationalist shit. When ADOS people talk about nationalism, at the most, and I know because I've interacted with black nationalists, we want a peace. We'll take a state or two. But ain't no ADOS person talking about America's ours. We need living room. Everybody got to kick rocks because ADOS is the essence of Americanness. So how in the hell are we tied to some concept that's actually foreign to ADOS people? How is it that Joyanne Reed gets to slur us by claiming that we're tied to movements with concepts that most ADOS people have never even heard of, let alone understand? You feel me? How in the hell? It's like she can say this stuff and we're not going to look at what the hell she's talking about? ADOS people have been for America since before America. We've been the most patriotic, the most loyal. AL, I hear you, fam, but what my point is this. who officially, as ADOS, right, your personal position that it all belongs to you, cool. You can travel from state to state and get land in it just like any other American can, right? So I support you 100%. If you can get your hands on all of it, take it, right? But my point is that the concept of blood and soil isn't even a concept that ADOS people have ever even embraced. We have never embraced this. And more importantly, even if we did embrace this concept, right? So let's give this dumb cow the argument that somehow or another ADOS is on some blood and soil shit. Then how the fuck is she here to even comment on it? Because when the Germans were on some blood and soil shit, they killed people. They fought wars to establish Blut und Bogen. But she get to sit here in the comfort of my nation and tell me that I'm on some nativist blood and soil shit. Bitch, if we were nativists, you wouldn't get to be here. Family, use your noodle. If we really were truly these arch nativists, uber xenophobes that needed our breathing space come hell or hot water, and we were willing to bleed people to have it, where the hell would Joy-Ann Reid be broadcasting from? Probably the Congo. Because she sure in the hell wouldn't be broadcasting from here. Before I open up the phones, because I definitely will, I want to hear from you. I told you that we were going to talk about what the agenda is, because the Democrats' slip is showing. The agenda is not for the election. I think the Dems are pretty well aware that without our vote, if ADOS has even a micro effect on the black voting populace, the likelihood of Democrats getting our vote en masse like they traditionally have had will be slim to none. They're preparing for the narrative post-November 2020. Domestic actors, agitators, vote suppressors. Sounds like there's going to be a new round of criminals made when the Dems lose in 2020. A new war on terror. People who are trying to subvert the democratic process. Who are working with foreign and outside agitators to subvert America. The Democrats are preparing to become the new Republicans. They're telling you, fam, we don't give them 2020. They're swinging hard to the right. Oh, they're talking all this progressive stuff right now. That sounds all good during election season. But let them not get, King made Chameleon Harris into the White House in 2020. And watch what the narrative is going to be. The narrative is going to be that we have hurt people, threatened people, because they're going to ratchet up their attacks. I mean, right now the slurs are relatively low key. They're just calling us right-wing affiliated. But when they start pointing at ADOS people and talking about we're organizing gun clubs and this, that, and the all the stuff, the scary black folk, but then tie that to the disappointment that many people in the nation will feel when Trump gets a second term. We're trying to make the Democrats pay in votes if they don't get the White House in 2020 they're going to see us pay in blood. You don't believe me? You heard it here. Nobody else has said this. You heard it here. The narrative post-2020 will be that we actively subverted the democratic process. Everybody in this country is going to blame ADOS people for Trump's second term. Everybody. Now, Trump and company are more than glad to claim the victory. They'll say, yep, even the black folk didn't want to vote for Democrats, and they'll ride it all the way into the sunset. They'll be happy as Skippy eating peanut butter. But everybody else, they're gonna be baying for blood. You already see Zerlina Maxwell blaming black men for the loss of Hillary Clinton. Imagine that times 10, times 100, times 1,000. And the more politically active we get, the stronger the narrative is going to become. They're going to honor our justice claim, fam. But make no mistake about it, we have one more crucible to go through. Because we thought they played dirty doing redlining and convict leasing. The political structure in this country is what maintains white supremacy globally. And we're attacking the root of that. We're striking to the root, us radical ADOS folk. Hell hath no fury. Hell hath no fury. They don't fear anything more than they fear a politically active, a politically aware, a politically savvy ADOS populace who are holding each other's hands on some self-love shit. Saying, you ain't got no black agenda? You not talking about reparations for the crimes committed against my ancestors and me, and I stand in their shoes? Can't do nothing for you, man. But we wanna change over to green energy. Let me know how that works out for you. But we got all these immigrant people dying at the border. That's tough, isn't it? But what about climate change? It's happened before. Because you see, family, we are the threat that neglect produced. They made us a threat. All they had to do, whether D or R, is just simply understand we can't keep shutting out an entire group of citizens from the progress this country is making or the bad effects that the country is experiencing. We can't leave them with the failure. We need to have something done to lift them up. At any point, at any time, any of the major political parties could have done that. But now we're saying, you don't do that, and we will sit back and watch it all burn. You've been feeding us shit pie for 400 years. It's time y'all take a bite. We're not kissing the ass of America, begging them for citizenship. We've already paid. Now we aims to collect. That's facts, easy. America could have fixed this forever ago. Just simply make us partners in American progress. Instead, they wanted to keep us as slaves. We ain't biting no more. See, the Dems family is going to be the straw that broke the camel's back for America. The reason why is because the Dems are going to finally make it clear come 2020 that there is no difference between the Republicans and the Democrats if you're ADOS. We've been saying it. We've been saying it. You've had harbingers beautiful ADOS black prophets out there in the wilderness of social media who have been saying for years, for decades, that the D's and the R's are simply two wings on the same white supremacist bird. And those folk have been laughed out of the room because a prophet never gets respect in his home country. But come 2020, when Trump gets his next 4 years, and he will, you're going to find out real quick that the D's are always are going to show us exactly what they've always been. The left-wing bird, the left wing on the bird. They in the same gang. Let's open it up, fam. 425-296-1980. I want to hear from you. I didn't have as many viewers today because we wasn't Kiki and he. All of you who are riding today, who are doing the work, who are doing the analysis, you're the reasons why I do what I do. This broadcast should have had over 100 people watching today. It's all right, though. We're going to keep it pushing. 425-296-1980. Democrats and Republicans, same damn creature. Family, do you realize that we gave the Democrats our loyalty for the last 60 years simply because Lyndon Baines Johnson agreed to enforce the law? That our standard after Jim Crow was so damn low that a president said, okay, fine, we'll make sure you guys can vote. We'll make sure that you can not be enslaved and, mistreated under Jim Crow. Shit that was covered under the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments after the Civil War in the 1860s. Our standards was so low that we said, look at us, we stay winning. Not no more. Nah, we want our justice claim. We need y'all to cut the check. We ain't taking no shorts. The number starts at 17 trillion. What you got on it? Oh, you ain't got nothing on it? Oh, I'm sorry. You were thinking I was going to vote for you? See, fam, understand something. We don't have the capital to beat Citizens United. So we can't buy the voices we need. They've gerrymandered many of our electoral districts to make sure that you can't have a predominant number of black folk really anywhere that can vote for an advocate that's going to speak their voice, that can actually get in there and sit at the table and have some food to eat. This is going to come down to that good old-fashioned, old, hallowed, ancient American ADOS tradition of boots on the ground, bodies in offices, and black people in faces, applying pressure and more pressure and more pressure and more pressure. Because pressure makes diamonds. No more applause for these political sellouts and bootlicks. Fuck the Dems and fuck the Republicans. If they ain't got nothing in on our justice claim, we ain't got nothing for them. And that's what they're afraid of. That's what they're afraid of. Why do you think you keep talking about we're suppressing the vote? By telling us that we can vote however we like, including not voting, right? Telling ADOS people that unless you have something to vote for rather than vote against, don't waste your time. That's voter suppression? Hell no, that sounds like survival to me. That sounds like looking out for our interests to me. Black man, I got the email, but it didn't say anything. It just said CNN, and there was no link or anything, so resend it. And no, Richard, I'm be honest, I didn't really pay attention to that bakery or whatever. I'm not saying it's not important. It's just I've had so much other stuff that I'm looking at. It's just not on the radar, and I apologize for that, Richard. Until you do us, I ain't got nothing. How many of y'all saw How High? You remember How High? When that little Asian cat was wearing that sweatsuit outfit, Boo Foo, right? Boo Foo is ADOS. That's America. By us. Fuck you. That's what we got to be on. And it's not because we hate. I got a heart. Whenever I see anybody mistreated, it hurts. I don't like to see what's happening at the border. I don't want to hear about another damn war of people dying over in some place. That shit bothers me. I care about the environment more than probably anybody. Hell, I'm this short of a hippie. But I don't have the luxury of putting those things before this justice claim. I don't. And I won't. I would love a Green New Deal after you cut my reparations check. I'm down with Medicare for all after you pay my justice claim. You want to take care of everybody's student loans? Cool. Where's my justice claim at? Because you're not going to do for everybody and leave them standing on our chest, and the only thing you did for black people is raise the platform. So until you do us, fuck you. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. Thank you, Kenneth. Whatever America is talking about, until they honor this justice claim for ADOS, that's not our problem. What is it that Tariq's partisans say? Hold your own nuts. I like that. Hold your own nuts. I'm cool. I see what's happening. I got eyes. I study geopolitics. I study international finance and all that other shit. I'm a nerd. That's what I do. I care. I just don't care about that more than I care about justice for my people. Talk to me, fam. 425-296-1980. Bing, bang, boom. It's on you. What do you think about that agenda that I mentioned? Right? Because that's post 2020. Understand, we have not yet even begun to see the fight that's coming. We're still organizing. We're still putting boots on the ground. We're still in the barbershops. We're still in the churches. We got the ADOS conference happening in October. What happens 5 years from now when we have a million ADOS march on Washington? And we coming after D's and R's alike. What do you think they're going to do? We care about everybody. We work for everybody. If it's just, ADOS is on board. Hell, even if we don't even think it's just. Because truth be told, and no shade to my LGBTQIA family, but you know black people have some problems, some issues with that, right? We don't hate you, but we don't understand the behavior and we may not necessarily like it. But we still will ride because the Democrats say they need rights. They got to have this. They got to have that. So we co-sign it. I don't have a personal interest in the race. I don't have no problem with LGBTQIA family. I don't. Do you, boo-boo? You feel me? But I'm saying that even when we don't think that something's necessarily good or right or just, we still ride. Caller from 904. It's your man, Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
What's up, my brother?
What's up, fam? Make sure you turn me down in the background. I don't want the feedback to mess up the audio. We definitely want to hear you.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, definitely. What's good, fam?
Hey man, this Mel calling from Jacksonville, Florida, man.
Go ahead, fam. Talk to us.
I want to tell you a little story about my grandma, man. My grandma died a few years ago at 91 years old.
May she
Most
rest.
of her life, yeah, man, I love that lady to death, man. For most of her life, she had to clean rich white folks' houses, and they would pay her little pennies,
Yeah, I know,
but
fam.
she made the most out of what she had. You know what I'm saying? And I went and checked the history of the people whose house she was cleaning. They lived in a rich part of our city. Ortega on the river, big nice house. You
Mm-hmm.
could look through the front of the house and you could see the back, the river in the back. You know what I'm saying? And my grandma used to catch the bus from the north side of town to the riverside where they lived in, to clean the house. You know what I'm saying? And my father wasn't in my life. I'm not saying he a bad person, but things went, sideways.
No, I feel you, fam.
Drugs. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So she was the foundation to help my mom raise me and my sister. And she died at 91. And those folks, they had all that wealth, but they never, how some people say, you got to give up your whiteness. Give up your whiteness to help somebody else, because you got this from advantage. But the people that whose house she was cleaning, this guy was a commander in the Navy, but his dad was like a rear admiral. I think that was pretty high.
Yeah, Rear Admiral's really up there in the food chain. You right.
So I'm assuming that the dad put the son on, because the son didn't really have to do anything from what I read in his little death obituary. He was a commander of a ship or something like that.
Yeah.
And they fought in the war, and he got a Bronze Star because a Japanese plane, landed on his plane. But I see that he got a lot of advantage because he had a big house at the beach, and then he moved to the riverside of Jacksonville. So, they just had advantage after advantage. And my poor grandma, she came from sharecroppers. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Came to the city, started working for hotels, then started cleaning rich folks' houses. So I say that to say, you're right, brother. If we don't get our dues, then, nah, I can't, I love everybody just like you,
Yep.
but nah, my people got to get theirs now. It's our time now. Feel
Exactly.
me?
Exactly, fam. This ain't no hate movement. We don't care about anybody else right now. This is us turning to each other, kissing each other, healing each other's wounds, telling the truth about each other's existence, cleaving to our lineage, honoring our ancestry, and most importantly, pressing home what's ours. We're not asking America to give us charity. This is what's owed to us, and we aims to collect, or can't nobody get nothing.
Absolutely. I didn't want to hold you up. I just
Nah,
want to
fam.
that, brother. And I'm down with you, brother. I'm
I
down for the
appreciate
cause.
that, fam, and I'm down with you. And you're welcome to call in anytime, brother. Thank you for sharing your story, and you have yourself a great weekend.
All right, much love.
Much love, fam. Fam, that's that real ADOS life right there. That's that real ADOS life right there. What do I always tell you? We have to start telling the truth to each other. My man's ascended ancestor, 91 years old when she passed on, and her whole life was in service to white privilege. That's the reality of ADOS existence in this country. That's ADOS life. Caller from 214. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
What's up, Mark? This is D out of Dallas.
D, holler at me, fam. What's good?
Hey, what's up, man? I just wanted to, just chip in a little bit of something. Hey, man, I pretty much agree with you in your whole broadcast. The thing is that we have everyone shook is because we're selfishly looking out for our self-interest and we've never done that before. We've always looked after other people and their struggle and their rights, at the expense of ourselves. And since we're no longer doing that, since a critical mass of our people are finally waking up, people don't know what to do now because they're so used to using our struggle and our fight in order to pass rights and give special benefits to other people other than ourselves.
Facts.
So, everybody's been eating off our plate so far. And we have to look at it like this. I do have a problem with immigration, and this is why. We have not obtained our citizenship yet. We are the bottom caste of this society. We have not been made citizens yet. And you have other people from other countries coming over here, and they are being lifted up over us through policy, and they are getting citizenship and getting benefits and everything like that we don't even have in our own country. There should be, you should have an advantage if you're a citizen of this country. You should have certain benefits, certain rights, certain privileges that others that just come over here that do not have.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, what's the point?
That's my biggest problem.
Yeah, what's the point? They say, you remember those old commercials, was it MasterCard? No, American Express, where they said membership has its privileges, right?
Right.
Like, I pay taxes, I work my butt off. I'm a veteran, right? I served in the military. You see what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I was willing to die for this damn country. You feel me?
Right.
And so I willing to put body, soul, heart, mind on line for this country, but yet I come back from any war to a country that pretends that my family doesn't deserve justice, that we are supposed to continue to eat the failure. We're supposed to eat hookworms and asthma for putting, power plants and shit in our communities. And we're supposed to eat degraded property values because nobody will give us what our land is worth until we're off of it. I'm supposed to just eat all of that. Hell no.
Right. And that's exactly how I feel, man. They want to leave us with the failure. And now we're saying, no, this is unacceptable. Because if you notice, Mark, like when other groups of people are treated like us, they'll say in a moment of clarity or something, you treat me like a black person.
No doubt.
They already know.
No doubt, fam.
Know we're a bottom caste.
No doubt.
Hey,
recently, fam, I saw an article with this white dude who was about to be sentenced to prison, came into the damn courtroom in blackface and told the judge that you treat me like a black man, so I'm going to be a black man today.
Right. Exactly. No. I think there's a critical mass of us that are saying that our treatment in this country, but because this has not ended. Everybody wants to talk like the mistreatment, the abuse, and everything that's happened to us in this country has ended. No, it hasn't ended. We're still being treated, like a bottom caste in this society. And there's like a critical mass of us that are finally saying, no, enough is enough. This is unacceptable. When other people are treated like this, they say this is unacceptable and they do something about it. And we're finally doing something about it. We're finally teaching America how to treat us.
Yes. Boundaries are healthy, fam.
Yeah, exactly. We have to set up healthy boundaries because enough is enough. We've been through enough. We've been through enough trauma. We've been through enough pain. We've been through enough struggle. The time is over for that.
Yep.
It's time for us to start thriving. It's time for us to start being Americans, start being treated as citizens. It's time for that.
Yep.
But that's all I had to say, man, and thanks for letting me hop on.
No, fam, thank you. You are welcome to call in anytime. I'm glad to hear from you. Peace, fam.
Thanks a lot.
Fam, our brother is right. Like Tone, you say, they trying to leave us with this slavery, fam. They trying to leave us with this shit. right? It wasn't enough to just free us and say, okay, good luck, niggers. No, they trying to leave us with this slavery. They trying to leave us with this Jim Crow. They trying to leave us with this mass incarceration. And ADOS has come to say, nope, not today. Justice will be the order of the day, or there won't be one. Peace, fam. It's your man, Mark Black, caller from 216. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Mark Black, this is the cool man.
The cool man. Peace, fam. Peace.
I'm in the house, man. In the house, listening and loving. Listening and loving, man.
Yes, sir. What you got for us today, fam?
Well, what I want to talk about, Mark, is I want to talk about numbers, because a number was floated this week for what will be a reparations number of 17 million. I'm sorry, 17
trillion. Yep.
Right. And before that, it was, I think, Tone and Yvette, they were talking 5 to 10 trillion.
Yep.
Before that, Marianne Williamson was 500 million. And so each time a number is being put out, what I do is I go to my calculator.
Yeah.
And I divide about 40. I divide about 40 million. And
Smart.
I recommend everybody else to do that.
No, I feel you. I do the same thing.
Okay. And so this recent number, this 17 trillion divided by 40 million, gives you 425,000 per AOS. So basically, what they're saying is, all of our pain, all of the losses that we incurred in the transatlantic slave trade, our families being sold, debt peonage, being put in prison, segregation, all these 400 years, that's only worth $425,000 per African American. Now contrast that, Mark, with Janie Diamond, who was killed by accident by Noir. Right? He was a Somalian American police officer.
Yep.
He's killed by accident. Her family gets $20 million.
Yep.
Now all of this was done to us on purpose, and we get 425, and her family gets 20 million. So what I'm saying, Mark, is we have to be conscious about these numbers.
No, I definitely feel you, cool man. And I don't know if you saw my post, because I pinned a post on the last broadcast I did, because I don't know if that was you. I don't think it was you. Somebody else posted something similar, right? Where they talked about we have to be real careful about the numbers, right? And I would absolutely agree with you. Now, rather than rehash kind of, that whole piece, what I'm going to do for you, fam, is I'm actually going to read to you, if you got a minute or two, I'm just going to read to you what I wrote underneath that post, right? Because I think that this will kind of clarify for you where your man Mark Black stands on this whole thing and the whole 9 yards, right? This was my response. Oh, it was Brother Shabazz, right? Shabazz Novara. Shout out to you, Shabazz. I don't know where you are today, but shout out to you because it was a great comment, right? So the first thing I said is that I immediately agreed with him that the $17 trillion amount doesn't completely account for the enormity of the debt that's owed, right? Now, I'm a paralegal, right? I'm a trained paralegal. So I think of things in legal terms, right? And in a legal term, the claim that we're trying to push against the United States is a tort claim, right? It's essentially claiming that they've committed offenses against us that require compensation, right? And I said in major torts, it can rapidly become difficult to calculate in monetary terms the value of a claim. The length of time involved, the various monetary shenanigans that have taken place, etc., make our justice claim the tort to end all torts, right? And I also feel like that while we talk about cutting the check, you feel me? That the check is a part of what should constitute our reparations. Now, be aware that Dr. Darity has got a book coming out. He stated it's coming out in October 2020, right? That is going to discuss our justice claim, and he's going to offer numbers and stuff like that. This is going to be based off of the latest scholarship around this matter, right? But I definitely understand where you're coming from. This is the part that I wanted to address, right? We're kind of, as ADOS, in between two difficult choices. The first choice, we either press America for an amount that would essentially bankrupt the country, because there are estimates that states that the value that slaves contributed to America's GDP is about 50% of the GDP of America, right? Now, America's GDP is on average between 19 and 22 trillion, depending on how it's calculated per annum, right? So what they're saying is the number of 17 trillion is less than 1 year of GDP for America, right? But if we pressed home a number that is higher than a certain amount, what we do is we risk just simply seeing America say, okay, fine, that's what you want, and they'll undermine us, right? They'll find some way to nullify the economic value of the award for our justice claim, right? Or two,
you say they'll find a way to what?
To undermine us, right? They'll either say, screw it, we can't pay that and we're not going to, right? You know what I'm saying? It's like if you go to somebody and you try to negotiate something and you hit them with the high, they be like, no, you out of your mind. I can't call that, right? So if the number's too high, America will just simply say, we can't call it. Whether they can or not, that I'll leave that up for you to decide, to argue, right? But it is what it is, okay? Now, or we settle for an amount that is adequate considering our current demography and the wealth position of the average citizen, and then after that face whatever economic ups and downs that America in general faces, right? Now, I do think that ultimately we will choose the second option for a whole host of reasons, right? But I think the most important thing to keep in mind is that there is no amount ultimately that can take into true account everything that we faced. In other words, whatever amount ultimately is derived as compensation, as reparations, it is going to be arbitrary. You feel me? Right? So because of that, I like to keep in mind Dr. Darity's 3 steps. That's acknowledgement, reparations, and closure, right? At some point, fam, in order for us to be healthy ADOS people, they're going to present us with a number, and we're going to have to just say, you know what? Okay, this don't cover it all, but from this point, we just going to call it good and put paid to it, right? That closure for our collective cultural and psychological health is just as important as whatever number they all. Thank you, Chris. Acknowledgement, redress, and closure. It's a process, fam. They're going to acknowledge the debt. Then we're going to start discussing numbers. Okay. At some point,
see, here's my concern.
Go ahead,
Mark,
fam.
is that what I see. Sure. What I see is, as soon as the number comes out, or it looks like whenever I present, I've often text people about this and so left messages. Whenever I try to text Yvette or Tone, there's no acknowledgement that this number might have to be higher. Phil from the Advice Show, he had a video today. As soon as the number comes out, he said, "Yeah, that sounds about right." It's like we're too quick to acquiesce. Let me say this. I've done some math, and I have a number that I think is a good starting point.
Hit us with
and that is $200 trillion.
Run it down.
Now we've been talking about this being paid out in 10-year increment, a 10-year time period. So if you take 200 trillion, you divide it by 10, you have $20 trillion
per annum.
Now, right, per annum. Gotcha. Now the current debt right now is about $22 trillion.
Mm-hmm.
So you're talking about an amount that is less than the current debt. So we're talking about maybe. So if you add the two together, you're talking about doubling the debt over the next 10 years to do this. Now, I don't think that is anything that America can't do. Now, what does $200 trillion do for us? If you take $200 trillion and you divide it by 40 million, you get $5 million. $5 million allows us to put ourselves and our families where we need to be.
Mm-hmm.
It puts us in a place where we don't have to work for white people again, because we shouldn't have to after 200-some years of slavery and 100-some years of Jim Crow.
I'm right there with you. Keep
and then
going,
we can begin to turn inward. we can begin to turn inward, and we can build our own communities. Because also a part of this has to be some land, and we have to be able to get into certain industries that we were not able to get into before.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I hear
reparations should put us in a place where we are building up our community for the next 200 years.
I agree
and we don't
with
have to worry about working for anybody else.
I agree
And all
with
we
you.
have to do is get America to agree to $200 trillion.
I agree with you. And by the way, AL, I'm not for settling for no bad deal, right? I hope you understand that, fam, because he mentioned that in the chat. But what I will say is this, right? I'm right there with you. The thing is that understand, America is already on shaky ground. See, we talking about calcification of wealth at this point. And I don't think that we, even us ADOS folk, don't understand what that truly means. When America was growing through the process of enslavement of our ancestors and so on and so forth, they had access to the entirety of the West. They were starting to do a little bit of imperialistic shit with the acquisition of the Philippines and Guam and Puerto Rico and the Spanish-American War. There was room for America to grow, to expand. And each time they were able to expand, they were able to add portions of that wealth to the collective wealth of a nation as a whole, right? But when you look at the economy of America, America is not really growing, right? I don't care what they say on the news media and this, that, and the third. It's all smoke and mirrors. America's growth point is done. So what's happening now is that America is preparing to calcify the wealth in place. In other words, because there's no more to steal, everything that wasn't nailed down's already been taken. Everywhere you could expand to on the globe has been expanded to, and so on and so forth. Now they're trying to lock in the wealth that they've already generated. Now, what this means for ADOS is that if growth isn't happening for America, it is not reasonable for us to expect that growth will happen for us. So whatever it is that we take back from America will be from a pie that's not really going to get any bigger than what it has. Am I making any sense, fam? Are you following me? Right. In other words,
you're making sense.
Yeah. In other
You're
words,
making
if
sense,
the pie,
except for this, two things, Mark, is
Go
that
ahead.
one thing America has never experienced is ADOS working at its full capacity. So we're not sure what we will be able to what we will offer to this economy.
Right.
We could make it grow exponentially with what we do, and also they're not just giving to us, but this is also one of the biggest stimulus packages ever
Facts.
for the American
I
economy.
agree with you 100% on that. Regardless of whatever the number ultimately works out to be, it will be singularly the greatest stimulus package that the entire country has ever seen. It's not just going to benefit ADOS folk. Our reparations package is going to benefit America, right? Which is a fact.
Facts.
Now, understand me, though, when I tell you, we are witnessing the decline of the American empire as we know it. Now, there's a whole host of reasons why I say that. Too many that I can't get into in this little bitty broadcast, all right? I will simply encourage you to start looking further. Start looking beyond what we're, our advocacy. Start looking at other things, right?
But what I want to say to you, Mark, is this, though. We are witnessing the decline, but I believe that one of the reasons we're witnessing the decline is because America has never done right by African Americans. I believe we are the key to turning all this around.
That could be. That could be, and I'll readily give you that, fam. Now that actually makes a lot of sense to me. So first of all, let me acknowledge that you brought up a very salient point. It could very well be that America is in decline based off of the fact that it's basically has a 38 million person anchor pulling it toward the ground, pulling it toward the mud, right? So, no, I absolutely agree with you. I think that's something that people should take into account, right? What I would ultimately like to see is us having our fullest expression of citizenship in every way, being just as safe, just as protected, having just as many resources and access to resources as any other American. I believe that cutting the check is only the first step in a series, a comprehensive package of what will ultimately constitute reparations for our people, right? Now, I'll be the first one to tell you, we throw out these numbers, all of us are putting the baby before the bathwater, right? We still got to get to the point of acknowledgement of the debt. We ain't got America there yet. We're going to have to drag Sam kicking and screaming to that point, right? So we still have work to do, right? So my point is, fam, is that your 200 trillion number sounds just as good to me. I got a brother, Real Spill, aka ADOS Boots on the Ground. That brother says 500 trillion. I rocks with it. I don't really ultimately, you know what I'm saying, have a opinion about the number as of yet, because we still have the work to do to get us to the point of negotiation in the first place. The debt is due.
But see, one of my concerns, Mark, is that, see, a lot of things are being talked about and done and added up behind closed doors right now. And I'm wondering, when is this process going to open up? See, because all the numbers just keep coming out.
Right.
And then sooner or later, what I see a possibility is you have Yvette, Tone, other members, they just coming to us with a number and say, okay, I think we need to accept this. We're not going to get any more. I don't believe in negotiating like that. In fact, I will not negotiate on my ancestors like that and all that they suffer.
I hear you.
That's all I want to say.
No, fam, you brought up some great points, fam, and you'll find that your man Mark Black is more in agreement with you than you think I am, right? Don't get it twisted.
And the reason I call you Mark is I think you may be in the room, so I want you to remember this, Mark.
Man, y'all flattering the hell out of me, man. I'll be. Thank you, fam. I appreciate it, fam. Look, I'll be honest with you. Your man Mark Black has no aspirations whatsoever to be in the room. I'm flattered that anybody even thinks I'm even adequate. You know what I'm saying, for that, because that's an honor I don't even think I deserve. But with that having been said, fam, I don't care what the number is. We can press home our justice claim, and we're going to make them give us what we need. And we ain't stopping and taking no shorts. We're going to come together in Congress as a people, one ADOS people, and we're going to determine what is satisfactory for us. And until that is met, there will be no peace. There will be no movement toward anything else. So whatever the fam ultimately decides on, your man Mark Black is going to ride in for a penny, in for a pound. I don't care if the number is 17 trillion or 117 trillion. You feel me? I'm down with whatever number y'all feel is adequate to address our situation, because I know if you're thinking about it, then other people is thinking about it too. We're going to ultimately have a meeting of the minds and get to that place where we need to get to. But for right now, fam, don't get bogged down by those numbers. They sound great. Some of them is great. You see what I'm saying? I'm not leaving it open to interpretation for nothing, sis. I'm telling you, I'm on board. I don't give a damn what we determine what the number is, not them. We set the tone, right? So whatever number the family come up with, Mark Black is on board, right? But my job is to help you and I to grab Sam by the throat with his red, white, and blue ass and drag him kicking and screaming, no, I don't want to go, to the table. That's where Mark Black's focus is right now, is dragging Sam ass to the table so we can have this sit down and get this baby put to bed, to get this debt paid and hammered out. You feel me? Mr. Clean, I rocks with that. 425 fam, 425-296-1980. I'm going to take one more and then I'm going to go ahead and call it for the night, because I know y'all want to go and enjoy the rest of your weekend. But damn, I've had some great callers tonight. Fam, I love y'all, man. Y'all are putting in the work. And I appreciate the opportunity to add to what it is that you're doing. Calling from 608. It's your man Mark Black. What's your name? Where you calling from? And what's on your mind?
Yeah, this is gorgeous. Gorillowitz.
Hey, there's my man. What's good?
Mr. Mark Black.
Hey, I appreciate it.
It's all about you, man.
No, it's all about you, fam. Hey, do me a favor. Turn me
It's all
down in the
about us,
background.
right?
I can hear you, but I don't want the feedback to mess up the audio.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you just fine, fam. What you got for me?
All right.
Because I know you go
Hey,
hard
man,
in the paint.
Hey, I mean, like this ADOS, everything that's going on right now, I think people aren't understanding it's about us. We can look at history.
Yep.
Let's look at history. Let's look at the time factor. It's not that long ago. This is short. When we talk about generations, when we talk about, I'm 43. I just turned 44. So my mother, my grandmother, I know my mother, I know my grandmother. Let's keep going back. It's not that long ago.
Yep.
But truths have not been presented, or we haven't searched it, and we're on the internet all day, every day.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, I'm combobulated right now. I want to say so much, but I'm gorgeous right now. And this is what it's about. It's like, no, we don't need $1 million per person, per family. Think about what we can do with 20 grand. Think about if our mind state is right, what can we do with that? Think about that. Like, think about what we can do if we were given something. I'm not saying we're supposed to ask for something. I'm saying we have dealt with crumbs for so long. We have survived that for so long, and we're still here.
Facts.
This is why I type in creme de la creme. Look at where we come from. If you knew your history and you know we survived, we're not supposed to be here.
Yep, we children of the impossible, fam. Isn't that what I say?
We are like okay. I'm in the comics, but X-Men. We are super freak natures. We're freaks of nature, yo. We are above. We don't understand that. We dilly and dally and all this petty shit. It's like, yo, get your mind right. Get your mind right. Because if you understand, if you look around what you've been doing, you're in the crumbs. You've been dealing with it. You've been operating. You've been doing this. It's kind of like you do have a business mind state already.
Yeah.
But think about it. I'm just talking shit. But look, I didn't want to call in because I'm about to tear up. Because look, again, creme de la creme. You look at where we come from and look at where we're at. We're not supposed to be here. People are dilly and dally and all this petty shit. It's like crazy, yo. Straight up, yo.
I hear you,
It's like, yo, focus. Look around. Take a second to breathe. That's what they put us into. They made it so we couldn't sit back and breathe. We can't look around. We can't do none of that. We got to react. We got to do this. We got to do no. We're stronger than that. But Mark Black. Look, man, you're on point. And you know what's funny? You're agnostic, right? But you know what's funny? You speak with faith. You speak faith. You speak of faith. You put faith in people.
I do.
Yeah, it's like you're oxymoron. But it's all
no,
good.
fam. No, I wasn't saying. That wasn't a question. You are absolutely right.
No.
My God is my people.
You're all good, man. You're all good. It doesn't matter what you are. You know, it's like, it's who you are. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, I'm not trying to take up people's time, you know.
Fam,
But this is gorgeous Gorillowitz. Y'all can feel me, yo. I love everybody out here, yo. I'm a soldier. I'm a trooper all day and all night.
Yes, sir.
Y'all don't know me. You're going to find me out, though. But anyway, keep doing you. And Honey Badger, keep doing your thing. You need to put your ass back up on the set and keep talking your shit.
Yes, sir. I'm going to do that. Thank you, brother. I appreciate it. Hey, fam, I couldn't end this broadcast in a better fashion, right? The cool man is right. We need to go after what we're owed. We don't need to settle for nothing. But our brother Gorilla is right, man. Gorillowitz was right. take us a moment to breathe, family, right? Think about this. The one thing they don't want us to do, fam, is to be thinking about this shit. Why do you think they worked us and our ancestors before the sun came up and kept us out there in them fields until after the sun went down? Because they wanted us so damn exhausted, so brutalized, that when we got back to the slave quarters, the only thing we could do was sleep. Why do you think they keep us locked up in metal boxes and cages and put us in solitary confinement, which all the rest of the world acknowledges is psychological torture? Because they want to keep you out of your mind. They want to keep you out of your head. Because when you, ADOS, when you, ADOS people, start thinking, shit starts changing. When you start thinking, things start changing. We can talk about the numbers, fam, and we will. The cool man, don't even sweat it, fam. The number's going to go up, it's going to go down, it's going to change, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, and it's going to be that until they pay us. We're going to talk about the numbers. Don't get bogged down by the numbers, right? Right now, drag Sam's ass kicking and screaming to the table and have 38 million strong standing there saying 3 words. Cut the check. That's our job right now, fam. That's our job. We got scholars, fam. We got brains. We got people who we can get sitting at the table who can hammer this thing out with Sam and his cohorts. Right? And whatever it is that you dream that justice looks like, be like the cool man and let it be known. I ain't against nothing my fam just said. You don't want to work with white folks no more, work for white folks no more? I'm down. You want to have land? I'm down. You want them to cut the check? I'm down. Right? This is ADOS's time to decide what justice looks like for us and to give it birth. It is time for you to go into your heart, into your head, and go into your family's hearts and heads, and y'all dream together, and y'all believe together, and y'all step out there on the knowledge of the history of ADOS life in this country. So ground yourself in the knowledge, right? Work towards letting your light shine. In other words, be the advocate your ass claim you need. Because you the savior we've been waiting for. And then through faith, ask the hard questions to take us to the unknown and be standing there right at the table with Sam, 38 million strong, and being like, what you gonna do? What's it gonna be? Run us our shit. You feel me, fam? That's our job right now. Yeah, let them get scary. We see them. We see the Dr. Glauds. We see the weasel word using milk toast butter biscuit brigade and the boule bootlicks. We see them. And one pony don't stop no show, fam. Not when you talking 30 plus million strong. One pony don't stop no show. Oh boy, I can tell you, that's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. Don't even think about that in your mind. That what if we get nothing? We ain't got nothing right now. You never push a people to the point where they ain't got nothing to lose. That's facts. They will pay the debt, or there will be no peace. Fam, before I go, I want to leave you with something, as I always do, right? I'm not closing it out just yet, but I'm going to give you a little gift to take with you. When I wish you peace, I'm also wishing you justice. Do you know why that's true? Because without justice, there can be no peace for you. When we say peace to each other, peace, fam, shalom, salamu alaikum, right? When we say peace to each other, we're not only wishing calm, quietude, right? Serenity. We're wishing justice on each other as well. Because without justice, fam, there can be no peace. We will have justice, and then we will have peace. Yeah, we should make more ADOS videos. Of course we should. ADOS all day, every day. You mean the We're Not Bots videos? No. They don't care. They don't care. For them, it ain't about being right. They're about repeating the big lie. You repeat a lie long enough, according to Goebbels, to Hermann Goering, Joseph Goebbels, them Nazis, you repeat a lie long enough, it becomes the truth. Yeah, I'm talking about Eddie Glaude. You feel me? Yeah, exactly. August, shalom, salamu alaikum, peace, namaste. It means to make you whole. I wish for you wholeness. I cannot wish you peace if I do not demand justice for you. I cannot wish you peace if I do not demand righteousness for you. So when I say peace to you, family, know that I am advocating for justice for you, because without that, there can be no peace. So, fam, until next time, make sure you tune in for your Hump Day podcast come Wednesday, right? We're going to get it in as usual. Again, fam, no begging. I have a Patreon, as little as $1 a month. Right? You don't have to put in on every podcast. Just consider clicking the link and supporting my work. Right? A little as $1. I'm asking you to put 5 on it, but a little as $1, do it. And if you got more you feel like you can contribute per month, please do. I've got plans, fam. Big fucking plans for us. But I need your help to get there. And there's no shame in me asking for that. Right? So, fam, until the next time, as always, I want to wish you all love, peace. What am I also wishing you? Justice, love, peace, prosperity, and power. Real power to our people.